The silence in our colonial-style home in Silveridge, Connecticut used to feel like peace. It was the kind of quiet you pay millions for. Thick walls, lush carpets, and the distant hum of a high-end HVAC system. But lately, that silence had changed. It felt like a thick, suffocating fog, the kind that rolls in off the Atlantic and hides the jagged rocks until it's too late. I sat at the mahogany dining table, the same one where we'd hosted a dozen Thanksgiving dinners for the Silveridge elite. I found myself tracing the grain of the wood, remembering when we bought it. We were young, ambitious, and in love. Now the wood just felt cold. I could see my reflection in the polished surface. A man who looked older than his 38 years, with eyes that had seen too many blueprints and not enough truth. I heard the sharp, rhythmic click of heels on the hardwood. Sarah was walking toward me. She wasn't carrying the vintage Bordeaux we usually shared on Friday nights. She was carrying a manila envelope. She didn't sit. She stood over me, the overhead chandelier casting a sharp, artificial glow on her perfectly symmetrical face. She tossed the envelope onto the table. It slid across the polished surface, stopping inches from my coffee mug with a sound like a dry twig snapping. "It's over, Julian," she said. Her voice was devoid of the warmth that had once defined our decade together. It was the voice she used for difficult real estate negotiations, clinical, detached, and final. She leaned against the doorframe, crossing her arms, a sharp, triumphant smirk playing on her lips. She was watching me, waiting for the collapse. She expected the weeping, the begging, the "what did I do wrong?" routine she had undoubtedly rehearsed her rebuttal for. She wanted to see the man who built skyscrapers crumble over a few sheets of paper. I looked down. The bold lettering practically screamed at me, "Petition for dissolution of marriage." But as I stared at the document, I didn't feel my heart break. Instead, I felt a physical lightness I hadn't known in years. For 3 years, I had been the only one trying to keep the embers of this marriage alive while she was already out the door. I looked up at her, meeting those cold blue eyes. I didn't scream. "Finally," I whispered. I reached into my breast pocket, pulled out my heavy fountain pen, and signed my name with a flourish. I didn't even read the terms. I knew what she wanted. The house, the savings, the pride. She could have the first two. And before we go deeper into this story, take a second and hit that subscribe button. Give this video a like, and let us know where you're watching from. I'm curious to know how far these stories travel. To understand why that smirk didn't hurt me, you have to understand the slow, invisible rot of the last 3 years in Silveridge. To the outside world, Sarah and I were the it couple.